questions. I grew up in Warren, so this is very interesting for me. So one of your solutions to invest in law enforcement to address the crime is a bit of a Band-Aid, I guess, versus getting to the root of why the crime exists, but you do touch on that the property values is a big component of that. It's a bit of a catch-22 situation, I can see. So, you know, property values go down, crime goes up. There's got to be other aspects of why the crime is increasing other than property values. What are some of those?
Yes, we agree. Although property values are very important, we also agree that the infrastructural aspect of Warren is also very important, aside from just property values, as well as the quality of, the infrastructure.
There's also the issue of businesses and employment. So as we saw, the unemployment rate was 5.7%, which is pretty significant still. And that could also be because of employment and that there's not enough talent, there's not a significant talent pool for people to work in companies like GM or Stellantis, where we need other companies to influx into the city.
So follow-up question then, do you think education is playing a component in this, in that the population is not receiving a quality education to be able to fill those jobs? Are people poorly educated and more inclined to criminal activities?
I do believe that education could also be playing a major role within this, and I do believe, however, that with this influx of more investment into the city with lower crime rates, they could receive more funding due to the taxes that they're getting from this and get more revenue to invest in said education and create a more long-term solution to increase education, get more jobs through investment to the city with lower crime rates, and just overall make it more safe for everyone and make it just a longer term solution rather than just a short term band-aid, as you said.
Thank you.
Also the next question. I know you guys are talking about changing budgeting for police investment. Do you guys know how feasible or how easy it is to implement these kinds of changes, or have you seen these kind of changes in the past that could support a change like this?
Wait, what was the first thing?
So you guys are saying changing the budgeting, right, for
Yes.
investing into police departments,
Yes.
right? So that's taking away budgeting from other investments. This change in itself, do you see this as something that's easy to implement, or what challenges might arise with this kind
No,
of
that there are
proposal?
issues. Oh, sorry. There are issues with moving the money, obviously, as these these areas will be hurt, and they are like one of the most essential sectors, right? But however, without fighting crime first, and without kind of like looking at how we can like help our the police department to kind of take care of issues which are kind of plaguing these other areas through the way they impact also businesses and the overall economy there, it's going to be difficult to kind of improve the rest of the economy if we can't fix our overall way that we protect businesses and protect our people.
I've got a question then, if that's all right. You guys discussed how an increase in home value and property values will have a positive impact on your company, specifically bringing in businesses and things. Could you guys further explore that idea and make that connection a little more clear for me?
So with more incentive to get into these areas with low crime rates, businesses and investors will establish their businesses there because they will think that as more property values go up, there will be more property taxes that the local government can take, and which can be invested again back into the subsidies for the affordable housing or for the low crime rate areas.
I have a question on your base data. You talk about average home prices in the
Oh, I'm sorry.
and the state and in this area. Why did you choose average versus median?
I meant to say median.
Okay, all your charts say average, what you've written on the page are average.
Did I? I'm sorry.
But even with the average, it kind of does paint a picture that that house prices are significantly lower, as we saw, by about the average being 100,000. And obviously, there could be reasons as outliers, such as much more expensive housing in places like California or in other rich areas in Michigan. But this does kind of paint a picture where there is a lack of kind of overall wealth and kind of overall like prosperity in the city, which as we saw with the high crime rates can be linked to crime and overall be related to the total property value.
How are we on time, Catherine?
You have 2 minutes.
Can I ask one more question? You talked about the CDBG funds not being properly used. Are there limits to how CDBG funds can be used? And you talk about repurposing them in different ways. What are those limits?
So CDBG funds come from the human utilities and development from the federal government, and those funds basically are for the development of the city, and it comes and this has to be kind of spread out between all these different areas. So it can't just go to the police department, but we do have a slide where we show basically that the funding for this is only about 192,500 given to crime prevention, and there's a multitude of investment in housing rehabilitation and other areas which are obviously important, but there's a very minimal amount given of that $6 million to crime, and it could be increased to decline the crime rates.
Right, so the question I have though is, do you know what the limits on how you can use CDBG for criminal crime prevention? Are there programmatic restrictions?
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, 30 seconds, so I think I'll call it.
Good job.
Very good.